Welcome to the last section of the second day of the conference. As a moderator, I'm Seon Ri from Bugyeong National University in Busan, Korea. There are three presentations in this section. The first one will be conducted on the floor and the others will be presented online. Could you please extend a warm welcome to the first presenters, Yong Yoon and Myung from Jeonbuk National University and Dongguk University. We'll talk about the ban on internal merge from non-theta to non-theta structure and the adjunct condition effects. Please give me hands.
Thank you. Actually, we are from Jeonju, and then there's a storm coming now. I'm serious. So, I'm actually feeling quite around this, but anyways, I'll try my best. Introduction and then our goal here. Let me make this slow. The recent framework developed by Chomsky and Guitar and Silly allows to show how the condition of extraction domain, in other words, adjunct into the subject condition, can be derived from I language, in other words, the system that generates source, and particularly via the box theory for the conceptual intentional interface. Yeah, because you're tired. I will be just skipping the introduction or maybe part of the miracle grid and then the box, but let me directly getting into our point. So, in this, following these frameworks, adopting this framework, we want to concentrate only on the adjunct condition. Partial reason for that is because our actually main data is coming from Korean, and then Korean obviously has the adjunct condition, so we are actually want to develop the theory from here and then extend it to Korean and the other languages. So here the external and the internal merge of an adjunct into a non-theta position immediately followed by it being put in a box. In other words, we want to say that if anything is unclear, please put them into the box. That's our idea, as soon as possible. Is what underlies the descriptive notion of an adjunct. So that property is for adjunct. And in that case, we don't need any notions of pair merge or any other comparable operations. We want to dispose that. So, okay. So the roadmap of the presentation is as follows. So we want to talk about the conditional extraction domain, brief term, and then the previous analysis, okay, brief term, and then a proposed analysis. I will be spending most of my time here and on the adjunct condition and then the conclusion. So, the conditional extraction domain, so let me read it through. A phrase A may be extracted out of the domain B only if B is properly governed. So this is the conditional extraction domain. So here's the data. So, because the object is a complement of the D, it is lexically governed, so you can extract anything out of it with the object. However, extraction out of the adjunct is barred. Why? Because of the conditional extraction domain. You cannot extract anything out of an adjunct. As well as from the subject position, you cannot extract who out of the subject. So there are literally tons of theories for this, right? But we want to say that the adjunct condition is the source of everything else. So, who did Mary cry after John hit is ungrammatical. Who did you get jealous because I talked to is ungrammatical. Taken out of the adjunct. Who do you worry because John saw is ungrammatical. So these are the examples that illustrate adjunct condition. However, of course, there's exceptions. Well, there are a lot of other exceptions, but this is quite interesting. So, what did Christ die to save us from? This is grammatical sentence. I don't have the judgment, but yeah. What are you working so hard in order to achieve? What did John drive, Mary Grace, whistling? And yep, those examples. So we want to explain why the adjunct condition is present in the previous cases, but it is not present in the other case. So basic sort of theory here, the strong minimalist thesis is the notion that we are chasing for. So the strong minimalist thesis holds that internal language, the system that generates thought, keeps to merge and language independent principles such as computational efficiency. So basically, I want to make it as simple as possible. So merge, yeah. Yeah, we heard it for the entire 2 days, right? Okay, so our goal, do as little as possible. So, yes. So, the previous analysis of the conditional extraction domain, so yeah, you guys know I'm a student of Jericho, so we are starting from Jericho's analysis. So, actually, yeah, it is quite odd to my co-author here, and then they actually listened to this class literally in front of him. So, yeah, only phases can undergo movement, he said, but a lot of other people said. And then, at the time, the labeling algorithm kicked in, and then he was talking about this thing all the time. So, this is my favorite part. So, who did a story about subject condition is ungrammatical? Because as soon as within that DP phase, this thing has to go to the edge of the DP, and then it cannot be licensed here, right? So the entire thing gets frozen because it is not a syntactic object anymore. So it is invisible for, well, there are more details into it, but that's the idea. So the intermediate position here is like frozen there. So it's blocked. So unlabeled syntactic object is not a phase, and then it cannot undergo movement. That is sort of basic idea behind this thing. Well, actually, in his original work, he's talking about the timing of the labeling a lot. So, like at the time, the feature sharing can give the license to the unlabeled object. So when does it undergo feature sharing? Well, he said as soon as you can, but yeah, all these details. So another sort of solution to this is a parallel derivation analysis. We heard it, so I will skip it too. And then the intermediate local merge. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let's go to the proposed analysis. So our goal is working toward a strong interpretation of the SMT. So the most fundamental operation of the narrow syntax is merge. The question we'll focus on is this: what should merge do? What should merge not to do? And most importantly, why? So the miracle create, in the context of this quote attributed to Einstein, we all know, you've heard it a lot. So here's the important thing. So the miracle create here refers to the belief of or philosophical stance that simplicity and elegance in the theoretical construct reflect the true nature of reality. So the explanation is very elegant, but what we want to say out of it is basically put something into the box as soon as you can. Okay? So this simple sort of idea is actually following those principle S and then the principle T of what it says. So according to Chomsky's framework, I language can be encompassed by merge, set theory, and the simplest relations and operations conforming to principle S and T. Principle S is the computational structure of language should adhere as closely as possible to SMT. Principle T, all relations and structure building operations are sort related with the semantic properties interpreted as CI. The reason why we are talking about this, well, basically we will be comparing the specifier of the small bp to the moving elements, of course, right? That is the key part. But the idea here is that always, whenever we are talking about the end result of the structure, we are getting into this problem, chicken or egg, first. So how do we know something is into the box? And how do we know, when do we know something is okay or not? So as a theoretical background of my proposal, doing without a predicate modification, pair merge or the labeling algorithm in account for the adjunct condition, duality of semantics. So the external merge provides theta structure, internal merge provides discourse and information related structure, that is Chomsky's idea, and then the internal merge is restricted to the central marked element, only these are eligible for internal merge. Internal merge carries the derivation from the propositional to closure domain of discourse property, establishing segregation between the descriptive domain of A and an A bar, and then the segregation of the internal merge. Internal merge creates an element that has no further interaction with the external merge generated structure that constitute the propositional domain or with operations that apply there. Okay, so the box theory in accounting for the adjunct condition, a more concrete example. So a rationale for the box theory is that when you are saying this structure, for example, what did you buy? One would be legitimate if it were formed by internal merge as the first step of topicalization, with the spec small vp considered to be an A bar position. However, it is illegitimate if it is formed by internal merge with the spec small vp considered to be an A position, with NP1 taken to be external argument to the A. So the resolution of this conflict is that in the box theory, internal merge of the NP1 imposes segregation of NP1. It is boxed and immune to the process that apply to EM generated structure in the system of propositional interpretation. So in this system, what we are getting is actually not a multi-dimensional system, but in a two-dimensional system. The external merged one will go above the moving one, right? So the small BP spec, the location of the theta subject position will be higher than the cyclic moving ones. Okay, so that is the structure we are getting. And then the lower specifier, which cannot be sort of licensed there, right? It is moving one, has to be externalized later in the step. But before that, it is put into the box as soon as possible. Okay, so that is the idea. So basically, I'm summarizing Kitara and Silly's idea because we want to say that our story is compatible with this one as well. So for Kitara and Silly, there is a symmetric phase internal movement from within VP to spec VP for an object VP, and then from small VP within the VP to spec IP. So for Chomsky, internal merge transitions from propositional theta structure to closure non-theta structure. For Kitara and Silly, internal merge only transitions from theta structure to non-theta structure within the same phrase, which is phase internal movement. Crucially, Kitara and Silly argues that there is no internal movement from non-theta to non-theta structure since it is superfluous. So our idea is that the movement from non-theta to non-theta is bad. So we also assume with Chomsky and Kitara and Silly that as merge to non-theta position terminates syntactic derivation, the merged element undergoes boxing in this position. So the proposal here is as follows. So the box theory accounts for adjuncts that are externally merged or the adjoint to the small v or big V by extension of the Boscovich and Nakashi's idea that even the argument can be, so it can be base generated as an adjunct originally, and then it checks its set feature later in the NF. Yes. But anyways, so we are following that idea. So adjunct do not bear canonical settlers, right? So when adjuncts are externally merged or internally merged to the VP, small VP, they create non-theta position immediately in the same way that internal arguments internally merge it to spec VP. So upon this merge, they are thus precluded from the undergoing additional merge. Why? Because they are in the box. So simply put, adjunct externally merge it, internally merge it to small v, big VP, cannot undergo additional internal merge. Why? They are in the box. We are not waiting for it. They are just in the box. Since such adjuncts terminate syntactic derivation, they are immediately put in a box, thereby being immune to such relation as theta marking. So they are immune to it. So internal or external merge generated by boxed adjunct will be accessed or concerted or by the next phase, or in other words, externalization or successfully movement by something. So here are sort of summarized diagram that we are suggesting, but let's look into the data. So the consequence of the box theory account for adjunct externally merged or joined to the small VP is that immediate analytic advantage in providing the box theory account for sub-instruction are removed phrase. So here, who do you wonder which picture of Mary bought? This is ungrammatical. Why? Because as soon as you're moving something into intermediate position, you're not waiting for it, you're just waiting for the next phase is externalization, therefore you are put into the box. So nothing can be extracted out of it. Also, you cannot extract anything out of the topicalized phrase because who do you think that picture of John would like is in the same way? It is externalized because of the topical feature, right? Topic feature. And then in the intermediate step, when it adjoins or when it is internally merged to the intermediate position, it is being put in the box. Therefore, nothing can be extracted out of it. So, we are getting this. The ban on externalization out of an adjunct clause effect as well. So, you cannot extract out of the focused phrase as follows. What did you sell to Fred a beautiful and expensive painting of? Who did you sell to the members of the club's strange stories about? All these are bad. Why? Because all these adjuncts, without consideration, you are just sending it to the box. So it is not a syntactic object sort of anymore. So you cannot extract anything out of it because it is into the box. So suppose now that both of these are correct. Adjunct start as spec of adjunct to existing phrase like small vp or big vp, and then move to the spec of cinque p. So for both of these, to explain those things, he should have said that there is a special sort of fp presenting in the intermediate position that blocks something. However, we don't need it anymore because all the adjuncts or the successive cyclically moving ones will be put into the box in any position of the syntax. Okay? So the proposal on adjuncts also captures their defining features. Other advantages of the box theory in accounting for the defining features of the adjunct is that suggesting that like moved phrase, adjunct whose merge creates non-theta structure are boxed in the position that they adjoined to via external merge. So one, adjuncts do not enter into set relation, right? So they instead just enter into predicate modification relation as a lot of other people said. So since they are boxed, in other words, example VP plus adjective or adjunct. Adjuncts do not provide a label, right? It is not easy to give a label for the adjunct. So they are not enter into going agreement. So inducing a problem of projection since they are boxed. So John moved fast and moved fast, John did. So in the problem of the projection we gave this question mark, but we will be saying box. So the proposal on adjunct captures there, defining features again. So the adjuncts do not undergo internal merge, so they are immobile. Since upon initial merge they create non-theta structure, but they sometimes can externalize when they are overloaded with WH or focus feature. So clearly they saw this sign. They saw the sign clearly. In which city did you meet Susan? Gently, Mary pressed the cat, however. Adjunct and argument show reconstruction asymmetry. So he believes the claim that John is nice. Yeah, all these things. So adjuncts involve paramorph three-dimensional structure. No more. Adjuncts are opaque domains for extraction. Yes, that is the adjunct condition. So, what is our different? What separates us from the previous research is as follows. So, the proposal in this paper is similar to the one made by Uriga Ereka, which also adopted by Mr. Shihan. But the proposal departs from Uriga Ereka in light of the level that Chomsky's boxing applies in light of interaction with theta theory. So adjunct creates non-theta structure. In other words, those properties will be the feeding into the boxing. For me, boxing or grunting or insulation applies to adjuncts that are merged, creating non-theta structure in spinal structure. But for Uriga Ereka, spread out, transfer applies before they are merged into spinal structure. So the interpretation of the boxing theory with the theta theory obviously answers better why and when boxing applies to adjunct on top of resolving relevant issues in formulating pair merge. So why boxing rather than transfer spread out applies and its effects are retained in syntax or externalization. Repair by ellipsis effect on conditional extraction domain. She went home after she bought something, but I don't know what. But she went home after she bought something, but I don't know what. And then you delete something. And I don't know what she went home after she bought is bad. So extraction out of the syntactic object, the adjunct adverbial clause in 26b, that creates non-theta structure, thereby being put in a box with its term in nexus form. So it's ruled out unless star marking on the syntactic object is repaired by ellipsis. So you cannot repair this thing. Why? Because it is a sort of violation of this boxing theory. So let me sort of go through the basic examples based on our approach. So who did Mary cry after John hit? So those things after John hit is boxed as soon as it is merged there. And who did you get jealous because I talked to? Boxed, so extraction out of it is bad. Who do you worry because John saw? Boxed. So, yes, too simple, so. And then the exceptional cases. So, okay, yeah. Exceptional adjunct obeying the adjunct condition violation. So, relational infinitives, proportional participle VPs, but so in those cases you can extract something out of the adjunct. It is good. Why? Because there is a special property that governs all these examples. And then this is called ultra-square, following ultra-square. It is a single event grouping condition. In other words, when you are interpreting those things, what did AI arrive singing something? All these events has to be somehow coordinated when it is interpreted, right? So instead of saying that they are literally just a boxed adjunct, we will be saying that they are the argument of the coordination. So we are not getting into the problem of the boxing theory in this case, in a special case. So there's a special licensing mechanism that make those things to avoid for them to be into the box. So the trustworthy claims that extraction is acceptable from non-finite adjunct in English, provided that the matrix and then the adjunct VPs are parts of a single event. So there's a special condition that those examples are having. Okay. Okay. So we will be arguing that the two VPs are combined in the mode of the conjunction, and all the relevant cases that is translated into the Korean are actually having those morpheme that says those are conjunct in these cases. Therefore, for the exceptional cases, we will be arguing that they are not the counterexamples to our theory, yet these are just has to be interpreted in a different way. So, yes. And that there are other cases, such as the combining of the VP with the following exceptional participant VPs in the model with reanalysis, as in tough construction. So, if you're looking at 33, participant VPs, Katarina was delightful for Vermeer to create the majority of his painting for in this structure. If you're putting this relational VPs as follows, what did you go there to discuss with my sister? The issue was hard for me to go there to discuss with my teacher is fine. So it confirms that our theory that those are really indeed the case that is quite different from the adjunct condition. Okay. So there are other cases that did not meet this single event condition. So who did marry prior to Jeonbuk is bad because it is out of the situation. Okay. So cross-linguistic variation. So here's our next plan. So there are languages, actually not many, but almost like 4 languages that have exceptions of adjunct islands. So we need to delve into those cases that do not show the adjunct condition in a certain cases, but we are like 90% sure that those will be just exceptional cases like the event case. But usually those adjuncts are strong island in almost all languages, so I think it fits into our theory. And also, before finishing, based on this theory, we want to apply the situation, the theory to languages that have multiple scrambling out of multiple clauses, which will be having multiple elements are getting stacked into the single phase edges, and then what we are arguing is that basically they are all getting into the box, right? So in that situation, as Kwan discussed, we will be discussing with the licensing conditions on all these elements. And then what we found was that only the homogeneous cases, so the moving element, the licensing mechanism for this boxing theory has to be somehow homogeneous. So if you're putting like a real yesterday kind of stuff with the scrambling element into the stack, the only plausible case is that the scrambling element over the adverbial case, not the vice versa. So nothing can be in between these two. Why? Because we are not saying that all the mechanism for salvaging the box has to be unified. It's a different story. But what we are saying is that when something is dubious, our system will be saying, just put them into the box and then wait for the salvation. So that's kind of simplified version of our talk. Okay, thank you, and
Yeah.
thank you.
You're punctual. Thank you for your interesting presentation. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. So
Thank you.
probably this might be a clarification question.
Sure.
So for Chomsky, especially 2023, boxing means something. I mean, the term boxing is just an analogy or a metaphor, as he himself pointed out several times. So something is boxed for a reason in Chomsky's framework. So for example, the main reason is it's not theta related, right? So the whole situation, whole reason is replaced by a simple metaphor, which is boxing. So I was wondering, what boxing means to you?
Oh, sure. So what I wanted to say is
because can I?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because it looks like adjuncts can be boxed as soon as it is introduced into the derivation.
Sure.
So basically, what it says is it's inherently boxed, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that makes a syntactic object boxed, or immune to further syntactic operations, something like that?
Yeah, a good point. There are many ways of interpreting. I mean, many scholars interpret the boxing system in different ways.
Yeah.
As you point out, probably, I really don't know whether Chomsky proposed the box system figuratively as in our understanding, in our understanding, based on the configuration approach to theta marking. So in the face edge position in the little VP span, then it is potentially theta mark. So that's why to preclude internally merged objects from entering into theta marking. That's why boxing is
clearly
applied.
boxing
that is my
theta
understanding.
marking, theta position.
Yeah,
Chomsky's framework.
potentially theta mark
Okay.
position. That's why actually a external argument needs to be theta marked, right? But internally merged internal arguments can be. That's why to prevent that kind of situation. That's why moved internal argument is boxed. Departing from that idea, we try to say, okay, actually, boxed one does not allow abstraction from the boxed syntactic objects. That's why
Your boxing is not related to
No.
theta.
So
what?
Either one.
Okay. So we are actually following your idea that
So
the
the
box
adjunct
is not the
comes with the
figuration.
box?
No,
It's
nothing.
the
So yes. So it is the sort of the way that we are looking into the pattern here, actually. So in the previous box theory, it was
So Chomsky's, you mean? Previous.
in the labeling algorithm sort of era, let's say.
Prior to
prior
box
to
theory.
that thing. So it was an unlabeled thing, right? The situation, actually I cannot draw. So when you are having the specifier of the small p for the subject, right? That is the center position. And then when you are having the following moving things that needs to be visiting there because of the phase and all these things, right? So what we are actually caring for is the interaction between these two at the story.
Subject.
And then the moving ones, right?
So interaction between the two?
At the first step. And then, so what we are saying is that the moving ones has to be in the adjoining to the small VP, right? First.
Adjoining, not merged.
I mean, so
Figuratively speaking.
yeah, figuratively speaking. And then, so you will be getting into question mark in the previous theory, right? In the labeling algorithm time.
Oh, okay.
Question mark, right? Because there is no feature sharing in between, unless you are assuming badge feature there, right?
Okay.
And then you are having another one that is base generating there or merging there as a center mark position, right? So the question there we had also for Chomsky, I believe, is that how do you know which one is which for the syntax without the center marking in the labeling algorithm time, right? What is the order between these two? So that was our starting point of this paper. And then what we wanted to say is that, so the moving one that makes the question mark there in between is boxed, what we call
Question
boxed.
mark for its
Cyclic
label?
movement thing. So I think we need to,
Sorry.
I need a trick. So
Sorry.
yeah, I think we can use this one here. So this one, external merge or internal merged one, whatever in the non-theta position thing, right? Those things. So in the Jeonbuk system or the other people system, those things are dubious one because how do you know this is small BP at the first step, right? This one, because there's no fish sharing between the two, they're just visiting there. And then what we're saying is that those things are boxed in a way that you cannot access to it. So this is sort of the idea. Yeah?
Inherently, they're boxed because it is an adjunct. Do you see circulation going on? It's boxed. Why? It's an adjunct. Why adjunct is boxed? Because it's an adjunct. So, boxing is for a reason in Chomsky's theory, and being in a theta position plays a critical role when it comes to an object being boxed or not. So the boxing, the term itself, is a kind of a metaphor.
Yes.
But it looks like boxing means something else in your framework. But probably, I didn't understand your framework.
Probably your understanding of Chomsky, my understanding of Chomsky, so that
Yeah, it can be different.
right now it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the.
But
It's not the time for
oh, no,
fine.
I'm not asking. My question is not about Chomsky's boxing, but your definition of your understanding of boxing. So
So it's the same question, so still. So what we are saying, boxing is not a term that, so it's like, so when I'm saying unlabeled object cannot undergo movement, if I'm saying that, does it equal to saying that those are unlabeled, being unlabeled is a property of that thing?
no, it's labeling is a property of generated structure, not syntactic object.
So-
sometimes T, but the boxing is a kind of totally different story. So can you
Sure.
go back to example 15, I believe? So I wonder if being in a theta position plays any role in your framework? Being in a theta position plays any role
Sure.
in terms of boxing?
being in the, yeah, they're in the box. Yeah.
So if something is not in a theta position, so it's boxed.
Yes, yes,
If something is in a theta
Yeah.
position, it's not boxed.
yes,
So you can, merge can apply to it.
yes.
So can you go back to example 15? Yeah. So in Chomsky's framework,
Mhm.
even if the whole structure is boxed, if there's thing that is a theta mark inside of it, then merge can target even if the entire structure is boxed, so that you can extract a part of it if it is theta marked or if it is theta position. So I think it's something like
So you
picture
mean
of
the big picture of this licensing
Do
something?
we have Isa here?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
In the box system, when if I understand Chomsky's categorical system correctly, box element itself, box element itself is ineligible for further merge. But at the same time, Chomsky does assumes that the fetal marked term within the boxed element is still eligible for further merge. So then I think your approach is might be a little bit too strong from the Chomsky system, I think.
So you mean like we are making it as a system, saying boxing is something that is independent operation, right?
I don't mean that. Boxing is just a translate of argumentation. It's just a type of
Yeah.
one you understand. Anyway, he's also
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, just short comment. So anything IM to large VT or D star P or anything IM, that's for you the box or but basically that is the non-theta position. That's what you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you. Then your point was anything sort of the close occupied non-theta position is in a sense island, like you cannot really extract out of it. And that's a Yoon, very interesting. In fact, it's kind of working really nicely. Then my question was something like, you could sort of, in Japanese and in Korean, WH in C2 language, the WH is inside adjunct. You can still access to WH and get the scope instruction. So maybe this is a constraint on externalization. So do you have any, so like there's a really split. Scope is fine. Scope instruction can go and you can associate with the matrix CQ. But you can't externalize this particular element on the matrix CQ. So looks like, this is not no longer movement. So this is more like you cannot pronounce out of adjunct.
No. So actually in Korean we have a data actually saying that so basically you cannot do scrambling out of the ECM clause in Korean.
See, you see that?
ECM, yes. So like translation is, but we do not have also this double O constraints that is maybe conflicting with the fact. But anyway, so assuming that at the CP layer, where the subsequent moving ones are targeting to the matrix clause, and then there's a paper saying that those ECM subjects, the accusative mark subject, is basically merging directly into the specifier of the CP as an argument position. And in that sense, in our system, the lower one, what we are calling boxed one, is somehow suddenly blocked the movement out of this clause in that configuration, but only on the ECM clause. So all these situations, so what we are aiming for is that, I'm not sure about like the exact definition of the box theory to agree with everyone. However, what we are caring for is the situation where there are multiple specifiers are formed, and then the extraction of it, and then the extraction out of it of the lower specifiers, basically when there is a base unit element, somehow interacts with those sort of framework, how it interacts, and then also how it gets distributed at the end. So those are stuff that we are aiming for. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Just a brief response to you. Probably, that might be related to the
Sorry, Professor.
the difference between
I'm terribly sorry. Yeah. Actually, 5 minutes is behind the schedule. Yeah. My role is a moderator,